For more discussion on this, we're joined in the studio by Rabbi Mordechai Yosef Ben Avraham, author of Mind of the Black Jew, and a frequent guest of ours around the channel. So thanks for being back with us.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, not a happy topic, obviously, to get you in here on. I mean, Chappelle, and we were discussing this briefly. I mean, he's been so good throughout the years of just tearing down those haters. I mean, making the best fun of these, of the worst hate in America, you know, and abrasive as that can be. This felt really different. I mean, it felt like this time, and I'm paraphrasing him, but that he's basically saying, you know, you're all overreacting, and, you know, a lot of what he says is true. I mean, it felt like this is kind of the theme he's putting out there. How did that strike you?
You know, I was devastated. I was very disappointed. And the thing is, Kanye, Kyrie, these different people, they may be on their journey of truth or trying to understand their experience as African Americans and different challenges, but they don't realize that the Jewish people have been abused and killed for these same exact ideas. It's not like, it's like, you know, as an African American, there was a time in America where that we were considered not necessarily even full human. Right?
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
Horrifyingly.
Exactly. And so this idea that people were justified murdering us, my ancestors, because of this trope, right? This idea, and to be able to just only like 60, 70 years later, to be able to do the same thing to someone else. That's the problem with this conversation that's not happening. It's just like, you can have your issues with Jewish people, but you know what? They're in the same situation as African Americans in a lot of ways, and we have to be able to acknowledge that, hey, you know what? What's going on right now? You're endangering lives. There's people right now who want to harm Jewish people. There's just murders in synagogues.
These are threats and tropes that haven't gone anywhere over the years, that have dogged and plagued the Jewish people for every decade. So these aren't like old things that he's bringing up. One thing that hits me hard, and I don't like, you hear this, one of the commentators already, the reaction saying, you know, I don't think, or he's not an anti-Semite, or I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I mean, we even heard NBA Commissioner Adam Silver come out and make a statement about Kyrie Irving after the meeting. I don't think he's an anti-Semite. That label, I mean, I don't think it's a badge that people either wear or take off, or, you know, it defines them all the time. But if you propagate anti-Semitic ideology or conspiracies or smears, you know, you're led into that problem. You're joining that chorus. You know, does someone like Chappelle, is he more dangerous even than, say, a known nut like Kanye or Kyrie? Is someone like Chappelle, who's widely respected, seen to be someone who calls out those hard truths? Is it more dangerous?
It's much more dangerous because through comedy, you can act, like, if you remember, SNL did a humongous job against Sarah Palin, right? Yeah. And they shifted the whole election because of that.
Breathtaking.
So now we're talking about something with anti-Semitism, which is the protection. Jews moved to America because America promised to be a safe space away from these ideas. And now you're marginalizing that. And this is just it's a terrible thing. And he should be ashamed of himself for what he did.
You know, even that opening, when he read that statement off the paper, you know, obviously it's part of his joke, but it felt insulting to begin with, sort of like making it, just so you know, this isn't genuine in a way, making fun of what should be, you know, I mean, it's a tiny threatened minority in America where statements of solidarity do make a difference, you know, to the Jewish community, I'd argue here. So, I mean, it felt like wall to wall, Chappelle's tone was totally off. Do you expect there to be some, I think we question this every time, real fallout or consequences or a change in attitude by these networks? I mean, where does this go? What happens now?
I think, unfortunately, many of these networks are driven by money. And Dave Chappelle is a moneymaker. Kanye's a moneymaker. Kyrie Irving's a moneymaker. And I think the moral justice of securing the safety of people gets pushed by the wayside.
Another statement in Chappelle's joke lineup that may have been the most insidious is, I forget how he exactly framed it, but he said basically that Jews have to stop blaming, quote unquote, black Americans for the problem. I don't know who's blaming black Americans, quote unquote, for anti-Semitism. I don't hear any of that coming out of anywhere. Yeah. Certainly not in any blanket capacity here. I mean, there's individuals who have been focused on. How dangerous is that? I mean, we're starting to frame it in a way like that to sort of tell the, you know, millions and millions and millions of black Americans that, hey, these Jews are blaming you for their issues. Yeah. Does this take it to a new level? Or not new, maybe it's not new at all. But
it doesn't take it to a new level, but there's a certain sensitivity in Western culture with African Americans because of slavery and because of segregation, and there's a certain power that comes along with that uniform sensitivity, and I think Dave Chappelle is using that sensitivity in the wrong way. And this is a time for African Americans and Jews to be more unified more than ever, because we're both facing the same challenges, and historically it's been white supremacy that has abused Jews and black people together. It's not like
in the worst ways. I mean, this is the bottom level of humanity, right?
Yeah, we both have been abused by white supremacy, and so this whole idea that we should be separate, or this idea that we should be competing with each other, it's like crabs in a barrel. You know, Jews are just as much as been victims in the media of how they've been depicted as African Americans. And there's been African American executives, there've been Jewish executives, but none of us own the conglomerates that are perpetuating these messages.
And the timing of this, so I mean, this is the post-midterm election Saturday Night Live. Wasn't the topic that we expected, you know, to be the theme of an opening comedian's monologue going into Saturday Night Live? The timing of this and the way he went into it felt wrong, just all the way across the board. I mean, does that compound this as well? Just the moment that he's delivering this kind of speech?
He did, and you know, it's so interesting what he said about Herschel Walker. You know, just the whole thing. You like even hear speeches differently now, post that, and so when you see that type of influence and power that comedy has, then you're applying that to people's safety. You know, and I really do not, in my heart, I do not believe that the black community fully understands the historical experiences that Jews have had. They know about the Holocaust.
How could they? All right.
But they don't know that, and so when Kanye says this or that, they're looking at it as an American thing.
Rabbi, sorry we're out of time. Rabbi Mordechai Yosef, Ben Avraham, always a pleasure to have you on the program here, and thanks for helping me bring this rough story to our viewers here as well. So thanks for joining.